everyone. Did you enjoy my parkour video? I plan to be the oldest practicing parkour woman in Singapore. Okay, the purpose of showing you the video, besides feeding my ego, really is to let you know, you always want to find a place to grow where you're least expected, and it really reaps rewards for you. I lived the good corporate life for 20 years, enjoying good money, clients who became friends, flight stewardesses who addressed me by name. I stayed in fancy hotels I couldn't afford on my own, and I had clients who, they took notes when I talked to them. Just that sort of life was really interesting. The problem was when I woke up one morning and the disruption came through the mind first. And this was the question that popped up. Do you want to do the same darn thing for the next 20 years of your life? And at that point, I was 46. So I was thinking if I continued doing that, I would be 66 before I realized it, and was looking back and saying, not much change in my life. So no matter how good that ride was, the thought that the learning would be marginal, just incremental at the very most, did not sound attractive to me. The vision looked very narrow, and I thought I need to stop it then, even though it was a good run. And so then it was, the discovery that I had a higher propensity for change, and even at that age, that sense of adventure came in, and the willingness to be seduced into an unknown world became very irresistible. So this is a picture of the food truck that we built. We affectionately named it Kirby. And I came here to share with you two key encounters in this journey towards building the food truck that launched me into a journey of learning which I never learned in the classroom. And I never learned even talking to a lot of knowledgeable people. You just really have to put yourself out there and experience it firsthand. So then the next question was, of course, if I didn't want to do the corporate job, then what was I going to do? And just the process of getting to that answer was really interesting in itself. Just sitting down and saying, okay, just for a moment, I have no financial obligations. The 3 children I'll put aside for a while. Elderly parents, I'll just put aside just for a while. The mortgage, the bills, everything. Just give yourself a clean sheet of paper and say, what do I really, really want to do? And so that question and the thing that to allow yourself to just be still, keep quiet, shut out all the noise and clutter from society and the pressures that are on you always, and just think. So actually, for 9 months, I basically just sat there and kept thinking. I never did things with my hands. I had no output to show. I had no tangible results to show. We live in a world where we have even a wonderful tool called KPI, Key Performance Indicators. Show this, show that. And the hands always have to be busy doing something. So for me, the 9 months was, the hands were still, hands were not moving, literally did nothing other than lift up a cup of coffee. But just the mind was racing, at lightning speed. And every day, ideas were bubbling, the creativity was coming in. And, I had ideas that got myself so excited, my heart was just jumping out of my chest. So lots of things happening here, but just nothing here. And this is really against the norm in society of always having to show something. And even a casual question from a concerned mom who, who just walks past and asks, so what are you planning to do? That just a casual comment like this can throw you off and just shake your confidence, but then you just have to, again, just stand firm and just believe that there's a lot of things brewing inside here, even if you had nothing to show on hand. So the stubborn refusal to move the arms and the legs, and my 9 months of sitting around doing nothing, gave me actually the power to come up with one big idea for myself. And this idea opened the doors for me for the next 4 years of my life, which was the last 4. We found a way to be in the food and beverage industry without paying high rentals to landlords, and in fact became a landlord ourselves, renting the truck to companies who saw value in it. So, I can really, I think, stand here and tell you I am really the only F&B operator who is charging rentals, which, it's a game changer for me in my little business. So right up to last month, we were invited to participate in an international food truck festival. And, we pitted our skills against the top 10 street food truck vendors from London. We were invited to the UAE for that. We spent 3 cities, 3 weekends, and we were selling food representing Singapore against some of the best street traders we're talking about in the world. And I'm really happy to say that we came up top 3 in terms of sales performance. I mean, this is someone with no F&B background, working with a contractor who has no experience building a food truck. And this power really came from the wasting time. So, I mean, if you go away from this talk and say, I can go back and waste time, then obviously you're taking it in the wrong spirit. What I'm saying is, while the hands are not moving, and resist the urge to just give in to pressures from society, make sure there's a lot of things happening in here that will result in finally output that has impact. The other thing that I wanted to share with you that was really eye-opening for me is, in the course of trying to get a food truck license, and I don't know if you are familiar with that, you're really up against the regulators and the bureaucracy in Singapore. I had to deal with numerous government agencies whose job mainly is to say no to me if you come to them with anything outside the norm. I had the opportunity to learn really more about the Singapore mindset through these interactions. I found out that to the regulators, the word no means a lot of things. It means, don't ask me for something that I'm not familiar with. Don't ask me to say yes to you when I don't even know which form to pass to you to fill up. There's no template, there's no process. This is out of the norm. I'm not going to stick my neck out for you. Just come to me where it's straightforward. Like, don't make me think, don't make me have to answer to my boss. Like, there are no means all those things. So there's really no reward for them for any creativity. Their job is to say no. And I'll quickly tell you this story of, I went to a meeting with a government agency. There were 4 people in the meeting. And after an hour of just going round and round, trying to get them to give me something that I can move forward in the business and trying to get the license, it suddenly occurred to me when I look around the room that nobody in the room is authorized to say yes. Like, why am I meeting these people? I'm wasting their time and they're wasting mine. So I actually asked them, like, who in this room can say yes? And they started looking at each other and like, actually, nobody. So they also use delay tactics on you and say things like, why don't you email my supervisor? Because that buys them time. I said, how long will your supervisor take to respond? Oh, 4 to 6 weeks to acknowledge. And then we don't know months after that. So I'm like, supervisor, your supervisor, you mean the one that's sitting over there? And I basically just got up and talked to the supervisor. Hello, supervisor. Like, I need to talk to you about this. Like, just, from the 4 to 6 weeks, it became 4 to 6 minutes of getting to someone who had that authority to say yes. So, just that Singapore mindset of, I don't get fired for hiring IBM sort of mentality, like anything that's straightforward, come to me. Anything that's out of the norm, I'm going to say no. So that, all those false ceiling and perceived boundaries, we had to cut through in this journey. So we finally got our license against a lot of naysayers. You can't really see, but this is the press was basically all over us on the day we launched the food truck. Straits Times, Business Times, Asian Wall Street Journal, Channel News Asia, and all of them. So it was a good vindication to all the naysayers, even business mentors, like famous business mentors in Singapore, who told us this was not possible. Just having all this recognition was a good vindication. But I'll tell you what the greatest reward is in this journey, and I'll end on this note. We set this up as a social enterprise based on BAM GAM, buy a meal, give a meal. So, we do all the good work, like sharing good food and bring nutrients to needy families in Singapore. We also pick up excess food from a 5-star hotel and send them to families. But the real reward came for me when my daughter, who is sitting amongst you today, at 18 years old, she came to me saying she felt really suffocated living in a place like Singapore. In tears, she told me she could not even breathe. It's not uncommon for teenagers to say that, but here's the clincher. She felt she could tell me because she saw how I started a food truck. Allowing ourselves to challenge the norm, question authorities constructively, responsibly, that opened the door for her to confide in her mother and reveal her innermost fear. She saw a mother who would be able to accept if she said something was wrong in society. And honestly, I could not ask for a better vindication. But to impact the next generation, to sow a seed in her heart that something like this was possible, such that this seed could germinate and impact her next generation, and this is the reason why I do the work and why I count the work that I do. So with that, I'll end. My daughter plans to order a baby on eBay. So I don't know how she will impact a generation, but I believe that with the seed in her heart, there is a potential for that to grow and impact the next generation. Thank you very much.